what do you think would happen if R2D2 and C3PO helped to take down a crime syndicate? Stay tuned to find out.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to another absolutely incredible episode of the Empire Radio Podcast. I'm Andrew.
I'm Jeremiah.
I'm Drew.
And as you heard in the intro, today we're talking about a story in which R2D2 and C3PO help take down a crime syndicate, or at least part of one. And if you're wondering where in the heck in all of Star Wars that actually happens, well, it happens to take place in a somewhat obscure show from the mid 80s called Droids, the Adventures of R2D2 and C3PO. But really quickly, before we begin, one quick note. We wanted to get this out of the way right now because this is important. So this coming up Friday, Jeremiah, what's the date of that? June the
18th.
18th? I thought Saturday was the 18th. It doesn't matter.
It will be
is
next year.
Yeah. Friday, June 18th. Normally, we would be having an episode of The Bad Batch. We would be streaming it and recording it. It would be going out later that night. However, we are pushing that back one day, 24 hours, to the next day, Saturday. The recording will be at the normal time, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. So we're only pushing it back one day. There's still going to be an episode. If you've been in our Discord, there's been announcements going out frequently, but if you just listen to the audio version or you watch on YouTube after the fact, this is your warning that it will not be on Friday the 18th. It will be on Saturday the 19th of June 2021. So there's your warning. Still happening, just a day late.
Same time and everything?
Yeah. 8
Day
p.m.
late,
Central.
but not $1 short.
True. And
What?
I was gonna say, and the watch party is gonna be a day late as well.
Okay.
All right. So you heard it here first. If you tune into Drew's watch parties that I most of the time join, it's going to be on Saturday as well, before the podcast, and that'll be at 7 Central, 8 Eastern.
Correct.
Cool. All right. Well, let's dive into it. So today we are talking about the first episode of the 1985 cartoon Droids, The Adventures of C-3PO and R2-D2. And it's a wild ride. It really is. So if you're looking for more content like this, stay tuned, because if I can convince the boys, we might be doing the first episode of the Ewok cartoon next week.
Ooh.
It's up in the air.
I thought you were gonna say episode 2 of this, and I was like,
Well, here's the thing. So I actually read an article. They are releasing this on Disney Plus in the Vintage Collection later this year.
That makes sense.
It's funny. Like we watched the bootleg stuff on YouTube, and then like a month later they put it on.
Always.
Yeah,
Disney Plus.
this is the second. This is definitely the second time that this has happened. So I think I would rather wait. Who knows? Maybe we can cover like the whole first season. Or one thing that I would really like to cover is the hour-long episode, the only episode of season 2. But
There's only one episode of season 2?
Yeah.
Can we just do that then? Just go straight to that one episode of season 2?
I mean, it is interesting because it has a direct tie-in to the Yuzon Vong from the Expanded Universe.
Ooh, Jeremiah.
Well, too bad the fans on Discord voted that as the next topic for EU with Andrew, so we're not gonna be hearing about that for a while.
Says who?
Says
We can have 2
Jeremiah.
EU with Andrew episodes before then.
I don't know.
Anyways, And
Speaking
thank
of
you, David.
future episodes, how's that Bad Batch fan fiction coming, Jeremiah? People have been waiting.
Season 3.
I hear some crickets in the background.
Oh boy.
Okay.
I wanted to
Alright.
see. I didn't. I was just gonna see how Bad Batch, the actual canon show, goes, but I hope they don't ruin what my ending, series finale ending would be, and have it in the show. So
Well, we'll have to find
Well.
out later. Whenever you go off to your cabin in the woods and sit down with a cup of tea or something and
No.
write for a whole weekend.
Cup of
you
hot chocolate
I-
with
it's
hot chocolate.
marshmallows,
no, I don't drink hot beverages. Sorry,
cold chocolate, milk, and marshmallows.
water's good.
Okay.
get-
Well,
Okay. All right.
with
Well,
lime juice dripped in, squirted in.
okay. Yeah. Yeah, so let's dive into a quick little bit of history about the show. Most of this was from Star Wars fandom and Wikipedia. So, Star Wars Droids: The Adventures of R2D2 and C3PO is an animated television series that features the exploits of the droids C3PO and R2D2, who, over the course of their adventures, often find themselves in the company of new masters in new dangerous and difficult situations. As a result, the series is set in 15 BBY, between the events depicted in Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. Any questions thus far?
Oh, I didn't realize it was that. For some reason, I thought it was like during the time of the OG trilogy.
so wait, when is
it's
this?
it's I mean the Empire's there for sure.
This is before A New Hope.
Correct. Between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope.
All right.
So it's
Yeah.
the same time as basically as Fallen Order.
Or Solo.
Yeah. This is now technically Legends, but yes, they would have been contemporaries. There would have been some overlap there. Star Wars creator George Lucas had long been interested in animation and had wanted to tell Star Wars stories in an animated form. During the production of the Star Wars Holiday Special in 1978, director David Akamba showed Lucas a recent film made by Clive A. Smith's animation company, Nelvana. Basically, after that point, Lucas hired the animation company to do the show. And
So
technically,
This was after that little short clip of
correct.
that
If you
everyone,
notice-
the only thing that
yeah.
everyone wants to see.
Yeah. If you notice, C3PO and R2D2 look exactly the same, almost, animation-wise.
Mhm.
And Boba Fett does. He actually has the same appearance in later episodes where he makes an appearance in Droids.
Oh, spoiler alert!
Dang, dude. Now I have to watch that.
I mean, sorry. Anyways, so in 1984, Lucas hired them to work on 2 animated series, Droids and Ewoks, made by the same animation company. These subjects were chosen because they would appeal to young audiences, and because as the future of the film franchise was uncertain, they would be the least likely characters to conflict with the stories of the future films. With these 2 shows, Lucas, who served as an executive producer, hoped to raise the standards for Saturday morning animation. Stop laughing, Jeremiah. He wanted the animation and voice acting to be better than the average shows of the time. Anthony Daniels felt the same. Quote, "I didn't want to do it. I had to be convinced that it was going to be better. I'm no mug. I wouldn't support something just because Lucasfilm was doing it," end quote.
Okay.
Pre-production began in May of 1984. This time, Lucas met with the series producers, directors, and writers who collaborated on story ideas. The stories were inspired by the science fiction stories of Jean Giraud, specifically the Airtight Garage. So George Lucas laid the basic foundation and ideas for the series, but was not involved heavily in the day-to-day matters. Rough cuts were shown to him as they were making the episodes. It's said that Anthony Daniels, after reading parts of the script, would rewrite it and write lines that were better, more well suited for C-3PO. So here is
What year
something.
did this come out again? Like,
Pre-production began in 1984. It aired in September of 1985.
okay.
Yeah. So here is something interesting. The Korean company Hano Hyung Up struggled with the show's designs, which often encompassed up to 24,000 cells per episode. 24,000 cells. That's huge. As a result, Clive Smith moved to Korea for 8 months in order to assist the company. Smith estimated that each hour-long pair of Droids and Ewoks episodes cost approximately $500,000 to $600,000 to produce, making them amongst the more expensive animated series for that time. So there's that.
Andrew, do you know what other shows that came out when this came out?
Well, I can tell you very quickly.
Is because that will see if it is as good as other shows out there.
Yeah.
I feel like Captain Planet was one of them, and like Thundercats.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, so
Ninja Turtles.
Contemporary cartoons would have been Disney's Adventures of the Gummy Bears, G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero. There's some good ones in Japan, but that's not what we're talking about. Very different.
Focus.
Japanese
Focus.
animation was incredible at that time. Let me see. The Care Bears started in 1985. G.I. Joe, Hulk Hogan's Rock and Wrestling,
Ooh.
Mask. If you're familiar with what Mask is, that was a cool concept. Robotech, which I guess you could call that American, but it was mostly Japanese. She-Ra, Princess of Power. Thundercats started in 1985.
Yeah, that's what Boom said. I'm sorry.
So, anyways, I mean, there was some heavy hitters that year, but I would say it definitely didn't look worse than any of those.
Thundercats is pretty good.
When was the last time you actually watched an episode of Thundercats, though?
Don't worry about it.
Okay, because I was gonna say a lot of times nostalgia helps to mask certain things like that,
True.
and then you go back and watch it, and you're like, oh.
Boom
This
says
is not-
Spider-Man and his amazing friends.
He did have amazing friends. That cartoon spawned so many memes. And
True.
I loved it. So it was extremely expensive to make.
Yeah.
Like, that's
24th
more expensive than like a live action television show now. Like,
Yeah.
per
And
episode.
even
like,
if you count in inflation.
No,
Right,
yeah,
like-
exactly.
Yeah, it's
Like
pretty
that was
crazy.
so much back then. 85. That is so much money.
So the score for the opening theme, or the song for the opening theme, called "In Trouble Again," was performed by Stuart Copeland of the band The Police, and it was written by him and Derek Holt. The show debuted on September 7th, 1985 as part of the Ewoks and Droids Adventure Hour. So they would play one episode of each. After airing a full season of 13 episodes, Droids was canceled due in part to its high production cost.
And
However-
writing.
Yeah. However, a 1 hour special later aired in 1986.
Well, so it was
Which-
literally on the air for 1 year.
Yeah. And that special was that 1 hour special that is season 2. It's not really season 2, but that's what I was alluding to. The first season was rebroadcast in 1986 alongside the second season of Ewoks. So Ewoks got a second season, Droids did not.
How much was Ewoks to produce?
You will have to find out if we cover the first episode of Ewoks.
oh.
Okay,
So-
I can't wait.
All right. So there's a brief history. It's not as interesting as some of the other stuff that we've covered, but basically it was
It was
George
interesting to
Lucas.
find out it cost that much.
Yeah, dude, animation
I mean,
wraps
yeah,
up pretty quickly depending on.
animation
how you're
back
doing
then
it.
too was probably really expensive.
Well, yeah, it was done by hand,
Yeah.
which is why, dude, like 24,000 cells per episode, like that. Dear Lord, that's a lot.
So much drawing.
Okay, so now we're at the part that I was kind of cringing for in anticipation of this. So we're gonna move into what your thoughts were, your overall thoughts of episode 1. Now, before you say something, it is worth noting that these 13 episodes, there were, I think there was like one standalone episode, but there were 3 4-episode arcs where the droids had 3 different masters, 3 different owners. So each of the 4-episode arcs is like a mini story. So we technically, by only watching the first episode, titled "The White Witch," we only got like a quarter of that first story.
Well,
Oh.
let's
And I
come
learned
back
that
in 2 hours and tell you the whole story.
Yeah, no, I learned that after I watched it and after I was preparing for this. I was like, well, too late now. But anyways, so what did you think?
I hated it.
Okay.
It's only like a 20 like a
6
22-minute
minutes?
episode.
No, 26 minutes and 22 seconds.
Well, yeah, but that was some guy added,
Yeah, well, that's true. That's true.
added stuff on
It was like a
So,
23-minute and some change episode.
Yeah.
So like, I had to like stop watching it like 5 times because I couldn't just.
What?
I had to stop and do
It was
something else.
that bad?
It was so bad.
I didn't think it was that bad.
It was just terrible.
Oh my god.
Okay, but Jeremiah, is it as bad for you as a holiday special?
The holiday special was probably worse,
That's what I'm saying.
but because it was longer.
True.
But I don't know. I just couldn't get into it. It was just so cringy.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Do you enjoy like the original Scooby-Doo TV show, cartoon?
I haven't watched anything like that since I was like literally 5 years old.
Okay.
Like all these old shows and stuff like was all when I was a kid. Like I haven't rewatched anything since I was a kid. So
Okay. That's fair. All right, Drew. Dang.
Well, it made me want to go watch the C-3PO and R2 arcs and Clone Wars more. So
on that note, I think the fruit episode in Clone Wars is 1,000 times better than this episode of them doing shenanigans.
yes. I don't. It wasn't like the worst thing I've ever seen. If that helps, like, I think parts of the holiday special was less enjoyable than this. It was kind of rough to get through. I was doing the watch party and people came in and out, but they didn't stay. And yeah,
All right.
I think the only thing that would like cause me to want to watch more episodes is if we find out whose lightsaber that belonged to. We don't?
You're probably not going to find out.
not if we
Yeah,
watch all 4
it was-
episodes.
Because like what the guy is like needed to get his speeder fixed and he's like forgot his lightsaber. Like
Or maybe Order 66 happened while he was gone.
Ooh, fan
like,
fiction.
even then, like why didn't that guy with the mullet have it on him at all times? Like, oh yeah, I forgot this is laying in here. Maybe we could use.
I have this
Like,
tool.
Jeremiah, this is a kid's show, dude.
True.
You can't apply
Okay,
the same level of logic.
Clone
as
Wars is a kid show. Bad
No,
Batch
but
is
Clone
a kid
Wars-
show, and
No.
that's like way better.
Bad Batch is not a kids show. First of all, we've
Dude,
already
first of
said
all, Clone
that.
Wars-
Rated PG.
Clone Wars isn't
Or G,
technically a
or-
kid show.
It's rated PG, so you just need to have a parent with you.
This one,
But
you don't even
still.
need a parent. This one you can watch it while you're born. Like this is
Y-
there's no
you
parents
you need
needed.
to watch this with a parent so they can turn it off. That's why.
Dang, dude.
Okay, and
All right,
that
Andrew.
okay,
What was
okay, wait,
your?
wait, wait, wait.
Oh.
And that being said, I live with a 5-year-old, and he watches stuff that's way worse than this. So I feel like it's still kind of above its time because some of the stuff that my 5-year-old nephew watches, I'm like, dude, how are you? You're not gonna be able to speak because they're minions and they don't even say words. Like I don't understand why you're watching this art just jump around, but they do. Or the kids' YouTube stuff is so bad. Like so, props to George, but yeah, I would not spend $500,000 on an episode of this. That's for sure.
Okay. Well,
It's gonna be a
I
short
liked it.
podcast episode.
yeah, I guess it is. I actually liked it.
Really?
Uh,
Okay.
yeah, it might be in part. Okay, so there are a series of episodes based around this Prince character later on, and they're super. They're actually super good, and I think I'm gonna try to redeem myself by having you guys watch those episodes as a whole story. But they came out on VHS as like a little mini. I mean, they were episodes, but like they tried to make it into like a small movie, right? By putting them together. And I rented that from the local movie store on VHS like 5 or 6 times as a kid.
Rent it from the local movie store.
Yeah.
What was
Dude,
it called?
That's
was
how
video,
old we are.
It was Video Wizard.
Oh.
And I'm not and yes, it was a purple wizard, cartoon wizard. He was a white wizard in a purple robe with yellow stars, and he had a wand that he was zapping the logo with or something like that. And then they got bought out by a larger chain called Movie Gallery. And I don't remember if they had this VHS when it was Video Wizard or Movie Gallery. I don't remember, but I remember going and renting it, and I loved this show as a kid.
So it probably brought
And-
back a lot of nostalgia for you.
Yeah. And I also really enjoyed the art style of this show, of the droids in particular, of C3PO and R2D2. And I remember when I got into drawing, because some people know this, some people don't, I wanted to be an illustrator before I got into music. I actually really enjoyed drawing them, like recreating scenes and stuff as like a practice exercise. So I had a lot of nostalgia points for this going into it. And I would actually sit down and seriously watch the rest of season 1 just to finish it.
Wow.
I don't know what it was. I liked how there's something super simple about it. Okay, so like for example, now when we're watching a cartoon or The Bad Batch, a CG animated show, right? Now when we're watching a show, right? We get on the podcast, everything has to make sense. Everything. Right? Every little piece, every detail, you have to know why it's there, how it got there, what it's doing. Like, is this an allusion to something else? Is Ahsoka or
I
Thrawn
mean,
gonna
we
show up? Like,
tear it
it's like
apart.
everything.
Yeah, we tear it
Right.
apart.
But like, that's the expectation. They're making shows with the expectation that everything has to fall into place. Everything has to allude to something, even if it's Arabesh in the background. It's like telling you the story of Darth Plagueis the Wise while they're running through the streets of Word Mantell.
Yeah.
Like, I'm exaggerating, but like that's
Now
the way,
next episode, I'm gonna be looking at the background and see if there's any airbash.
dude. I do that every episode, and there's always fun stuff in the background of the Bad Batch. So
Why don't you bring it up?
Why'd you
in your
say that?
podcast? It's part of your job.
as part of y'all's jobs too,
True, but I didn't know to look until now.
because it actually it translates to stuff.
And granted, I only see it once, and it's during a watch party. Okay.
Right. So here's the thing. All I'm saying is that shows nowadays, they're built off of these like super interconnected universes. Everything has to make sense. Cartoons back then, it was so simple. Like there's something in the back of my brain that engages when I'm watching The Bad Batch, where I'm automatically subconsciously looking for connections.
Yeah.
And sometimes it gets annoying, right? It's hard to sit back and just enjoy. But with this show, it's literally all surface level. Like The only explanation for him having the lightsaber is a Jedi left it in the speeder, and that's that. And I'm like, you know what? That's fine with me. Like there's something I love about the simplicity of it, where it's like in the opening scene, and we'll get into this when we go through the plot, like an overview of the plot. But like in the opening scene, C-3PO in one sentence explains where they were before, who their master was, and how they ended up on the planet, and then you never look back. You know, it's like, oh, there you go. That's it. Like there's nothing there. There's no wondering. There's nothing that leaves you wondering who was their master before this. Were they of any significance? Like, no, he was a smuggler. He jettisoned with the rest of his cargo to avoid being arrested. They landed on this planet. What's the name of the planet? Don't know. You're never gonna find out. It's just a planet, you know. But like, I don't know. I guess for me, like, it's a breath of fresh air because I'm like, this is. There's maybe a few random connections here and there, but it's like everything else is just easygoing, surface level fun.
Yeah, I mean, I get that whole concept, especially because it brings back nostalgia for you too. That probably definitely helps you to watch it. Like, this is a show that I would watch with my 5-year-old nephew, and like I would enjoy watching with him because I know he would probably love it, and I would like watch his reaction, you know, or like my future kid, I would show my kid this, and watch my kid laugh at some of it, and I'm like, this is kind of cheesy, and I don't really enjoy it myself, but I enjoy what's going on in the situation while I'm watching it. So like, I'm not saying it's like I didn't hate it like Jeremiah. I didn't pause it like Jeremiah. I watched the whole thing. It just wasn't like the most enjoyable thing I've watched. And
Sure.
But like, I understand where you're coming from. I think if you have kids, I would definitely watch this with your kids. Like, I would recommend it if you have kids to watch it with your kids for sure. Or if you have
like,
nostalgia.
I think I personally enjoyed this more than the Ewok films that we covered.
I can't do those 8-bit scenes are so. Those stop motion scenes for me, they're so good. I can't. Sorry.
That's okay.
They're
I was
so
just saying,
good.
for me personally, I think I enjoyed
That's
them.
fair.
Yeah, a little bit more. Daddy Pops in the chat wants to know, Jeremiah, if the second half was better than the first half for you.
It was all trash. Sorry.
Okay. All right. Well,
There's no
this might be a short episode. We're gonna dive into a high level plot. It won't entirely be scene by scene, but it'll probably feel that way. But we're probably not going to hit as many of the details as we normally would. So, how do you feel about the opening theme and the music for that and the visuals?
So, like the episode, like that, because we watched it on YouTube, just some random guy put it up there. He had like his own like talk. He talked about it before, like, and then after or whatever. And like, I honestly thought that song that was playing was him singing a song that he wrote and put it over the top. Like, I thought it was just like some weird random cheesy song that he wrote for it, just for himself. I didn't realize that was part of the actual show.
Oh, okay.
So I guess that's what I thought of it.
It's very Huey Lewis, very 80s. Like, it was like a very stereotypical 80s song, like pop tune. And it talks about being in trouble, which is literally just the show, the droids getting into trouble in scenario after scenario. Did you have any thoughts about the visuals?
Nope.
Okay. Sweet. Well, I thought it was cool. So had that old, it kind of gave me like certain vibes from like maybe the original Transformers cartoon, like that sort of like chrome lettering technology, like lasers, and I don't know. I enjoyed it.
It reminded me like kind of right away as the holiday special cartoon per bit.
Oh yeah, I mean it's literally the same people.
Yeah. I was happy though that those characters didn't look like the Luke and Han from the holiday special. That would have made it a little bit A little worse for me.
Yeah, I don't know if I would have enjoyed it as much if the human characters looked
Yeah.
the same way. But okay, so after the opening bit, we get a shot of a desert planet. There's some scrap falling down to the surface. We don't know what the planet is. We find out that R2D2 and C3PO have been abandoned by their previous master, who was a smuggler, and he literally jettisoned them onto the planet in hopes of not being arrested, and that's why they're there. So they got abandoned. C3PO thinks R2D2 is dead. He does this beautiful monologue about how he's going to miss him, and he refers to him as both a miracle of modern technology and the prince of droids. And then he finds out that R2 is actually not dead, and he takes it all back
Yep.
in stereotypical C3PO fashion.
I guess that's the only good part of the whole episode was that the banter like that, how he's
He's still
Took it all back.
C3PO.
He had some pretty
He had some
funny
good things
moments
to
in
me.
this.
I was like,
Yeah.
that is C3PO at his finest for sure.
Yeah.
How he always
s-
wants a master.
Right.
like,
So
where are you? What was his line? When's a master when you need him, or something like that? When they're walking through the desert,
Yeah,
Yeah.
where's the master where you
He's
need him?
pushing
'Cause-
R2D2.
right. So they're looking for a master, and about that time, two guys in racing speeders show up by the name of Jord Desat and Thal Jobin.
Doll.
Jordan Thal. Thal's the guy he's got like half of his head shaved, and he's got like a red mohawk, and it's like the space version of like an 80s punk rocker,
Mm-hmm.
that sort of video. And then Jord is he's a little bit heavier set. He's got a ponytail or like a mullet looking thing. And they race speeders. They pick him up, and the whole time C3PO is trying to talk to them and introduce himself, and literally they keep ignoring him, and all they care about is R2. Like they literally ignore him twice before they're like, "Don't worry, C3PO, you have a new master now. It's us. Surprise!"
Well, R2D2 is the prince of all droids, so it would make
Yeah.
sense.
Apparently. So they grab the droids and they take them back to their garage. On the way back, they apparently go into secret crime lord base territory, and these black balls come out of the ground. They're droids, and I think they're called. I thought I heard seeker droids, but it also could be slider droids, because at one point Jord says slider towards the end, but basically they're black balls that float in the air. And
I thought
they
they were
explode.
missiles. I didn't
They just
realize there were
explode.
droids.
Well, they can like change directions and stuff.
Well, so does heat-seeking missiles.
That's fair. But I like specifically remember hearing them go,
No,
"Oh,
they-
no, it's this droids."
No, like they did say they're droids, but when I first saw them, like those are cannonballs that are heat-seeking. That's what I thought.
Seeing cannonballs. So they explode on contact. There is a smuggler, or not a smuggler, a scavenger-looking girl. Looks kind of similar to Rey when she's covered up a little
When
bit.
she's cover up.
Yeah. When she's just when she's covered up. But she's up on like an outcropping, and she's watching them, and she's like, "Oh no, they're never gonna make it out without my help." And Jord's speeder ends up getting blown up, but as the droid's about to attack, he ejects himself from the speeder, hits a button on his belt, and his airbag suit
Oh yeah.
activates. So it literally just inflates around his limbs.
Yeah,
and
I
makes
was
him
like,
look a
what
big-
the heck was?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, dude. It's like,
It's fun, just kid humor. Like,
yeah, it's like, oh no, what is he gonna do to protect himself? Oh, I know, airbag suit.
mhm.
And there's no explanation, and then there's no mention of it. Like they don't
Yeah.
even acknowledge it. He just does it. He bounces a few times, and then he's fine. So, anyways, they pick him up, and
It kind of looked like those suits that people wear to have the fan in, and like plumps them up.
yeah,
Like it's
the sumo
literally the
wrestler.
same.
Yeah, yeah.
It's literally the same thing.
So, in the process of them trying to go pick up Jord, they leave C3PO for the first of two times. Just leave him behind. He falls off the speeder, and they leave him behind. And while he's there, he comes in contact with a sentry droid, which is like a big cylindrical turret on tank treads. And he's like pleading for his life. And then at one point he picks up a rock, right? He's gonna throw the rock at this droid who has like lasers mounted on it. And right as he throws the rock, and the rock makes contact with the droid, this mysterious female scavenger looking lady is sitting up on a like an outcropping way above them and shoots the droid with a high powered laser, and it explodes. So he thinks that he destroyed the droid with the rock. So that was funny. And then they pick C3PO up and then they head to the garage.
And he's like, "Nice arm, C-3PO."
Yeah. There's a lot of like really stupid humor in this, but I found it really endearing. So they're back at the garage. George's like, that speeder was felt like almost like a part of me. He's like, sorry to see it go. And he's like, but it's nothing compared to the White Witch. And then C-3PO's like, what's the White Witch? And we find out that it's just a white speeder, like a racing speeder, that's supposed to be super fast and built for racing. And they've like been building it for years and working on it and fine tuning it. And all they've got to do is get it off planet so that they can go to the races on Bunta. Did you catch that?
Yes.
I
I caught it. I just didn't really realize it was.
Yep. So there are a few references in here, like for instance, Tig,
Bunta
the
Viv.
gangster. He's like, I hear that the caves on Bogan are nice, or the swamps on Bogan are nice this time of year. They're almost livable or whatever. Well, it's interesting because Jango Fett mentions that he was contacted by a master Sifo Dyas from the swamps of Bogan or whatever it is.
Oh.
So there's subtle nods that the prequels took from this. Like there's a character later that almost sounds exactly like Kylo Ren. So, anyways, just little things that have survived. But anyways, so they're in the garage, and Thal is like, all right, I gotta go home. I'm taking the droids with me. I'll see you later. And they go home, and C-3PO is like, I'm pretty sure R2 is saying we're being followed. Well, while they're away from the garage, a droid from this crime syndicate that we don't really know who they are yet shows up and kidnaps him. And then the Thal and C-3PO and R2-D2 are in town. They hide from a patrol speeder, and C-3PO is like, oh, see, I told you we were being followed. And he's like, we have to go let, what's his face? Jord know. So they go back to the garage to warn him, and they find that he has been kidnapped and that the place has been ransacked. And so they're like, oh no, what are we going to do? We got to get him back. And at that time, our mysterious scavenger-looking friend shows up, and her name is, let me find it. I've got it here in my notes. Kia Mole. And Kia says, Thal's like, who are you? And she's like, my name's Kia Mole. And my ship got stranded out in the desert, and I was looking for a mechanic. I saw you guys racing earlier, and I figured that you'd be able to help. And she's like, yeah, your friend was kidnapped. And so they're having this conversation, and as they're having the conversation, R2-D2 does some beeps and boops, and he's like, yeah, there's some, my sensors are picking up some movement outside. And then this is one point that I really didn't understand. So Thal's first reaction was like, okay, I'll go get the speeder. So let me go outside into the middle of the street.
He wanted to make sure it didn't get destroyed.
Right. Or to drive away. But then that's actually the thing that they used to trap him, because they had sabotaged the speeder. While he was trying to get the speeder working, the bug droids came out. They looked like beetles.
Yeah.
Bipedal beetles. Droids.
They remind me of the droids in Episode 3. The ones that climbed on Anakin's ship, or Obi-Wan's ship.
Buzz droid.
The Buzz droids, yeah. Like not really, just like
All
the
right.
sense of them like crawling like a bug, kind of.
They kind of reminded me loosely of the Beatles, the Beetle droids in the first episode of Samurai Jack.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. That deep cut,
Now I could watch that show.
bro. Samurai Jack is so good.
I could do a breakdown on that show.
Jeremiah, you
Jeremiah,
seen Samurai Jack?
Jeremiah, if you watched it, you would like it. Trust
Uh,
me.
I don't know anything about it.
I think you would like it.
Alright.
That's a show you would like.
Did you
Is
watch
there a guy named-
Toonami? Okay.
He's
I
older
watched
than us.
well, it's not cartoon, Power Rangers, but then I watched like Dexter's Lab.
Okay.
I feel like that's the same time, isn't it?
What else was there during that time? Cat Dog.
That was Nickelodeon, but sure.
These are all
Ed-
Nickelodeon stories.
Kind of a little bit of Ed and Eddie.
Okay. Okay.
And like Animaniacs.
Ooh, Animaniacs, solid.
Wow.
Did you ever watch was the Transformers Beast? Was it Beast Wars?
Bro, don't. Bro.
I never watched that. Sorry.
Oh my gosh. Beast Wars was the thing that like
was
I looked
so-
forward to all
So good.
day
There's
at
literally
school to come on
video,
watch it.
dude. There's video of me watching it in my underwear with my brother. Like,
Wait,
Okay,
is,
well,
it's
that's-
so good.
I
is
don't
that the
wanna-
Well,
is that the one that's like really terrible?
it's really bad now.
Okay,
If you
Like-
go
like
watch
the
it,
one,
it's
the one that like
so rough.
Corridor Crew did their thing to
Okay,
before,
it
and I
did
was like,
not age. It did not age.
It does
well.
not age well.
At the time, though.
At the time, it was.
At the
I
time,
feel like
though.
Droids ages better than
100%.
No, it does. It does.
100%.
Because Beast Wars was like one of the first shows to incorporate like full CG animation.
And it did not hold up.
Sure, because they were. I mean, it pushed the boundaries at the time.
Yeah, no, at the time, I loved it.
yeah.
And then, I probably like 5 years ago, I was like, dude, I want to watch Beast Wars. It's like, I love
then
that show. And
you
then I
realized it
turned
was
it
a
on.
mistake.
I was like,
Yeah.
oh, no, what? Why did I like this?
I loved
So rough.
Beast Wars more than many things of my childhood.
Dude,
Like, it was like top
that,
3.
that show was so good.
Yeah,
It was so
Um,
good, but it does not hold up.
it doesn't. No.
Cheetor,
I had a-
oh,
Oh, dude,
oh, she
dude,
was so
yeah.
cool.
They, I had the computer game. I had the computer game.
Dude,
you
I did
played
too.
different
Yes,
characters.
yes.
Yeah. Oh man, and then they had a fighting game for the PlayStation 1. Do you remember
Ooh,
that? The
I never got
Transmetal
it.
fighting game. Oh, it was like a side scroller, like Mortal. It doesn't matter. This is
Oh.
a Star Wars podcast. Anyways,
But also some other shows I was thinking of: Doug,
Doug,
Hey Arnold,
did you watch
Wild Thornberries,
that was pretty good. Yeah.
Did you watch
Rugrats.
Rugrats? Arthur.
Ooh, Arthur.
Yeah.
The Mad School Bus.
Wow.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Johnny Bravo.
Wow. That's
Johnny bought. See, that's like the same time as Samurai Jack.
No, they were rerunning episodes of Johnny Bravo when Samurai Jack was playing.
Oh, maybe.
Because Johnny Bravo was on Boomerang at the time.
Oh,
Johnny Bravo was older, dude.
Really?
Yeah, oh yeah, Samurai Jack was
Trying
a
to
little bit
think.
later.
What else?
Anyways, there's somebody in the chat that was talking about My Life as a Teenage Robot. That was a good show.
Never heard
Never
of it.
heard of it.
Okay, that's Danny Phantom. Oh come
Sorry.
Sorry.
on, Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy.
Sounds familiar.
Never
Oh
heard of
my
it.
god. Okay, that's fine. Anyways, we'll just keep moving on with with the podcast here. Now that everybody has completely forgotten that we were talking about droids. Okay, bug droids. That's how we got here. So the bug droids come and they're trying to take Thal and capture him. And R2D2 and Kia get into the White Witch and zoom out of the garage, knock all the droids on their backs, grab Thal, and they escape. And they're on their backs, which are shaped like shells, and they can't get up because their shells are spherical in nature, and they prevent them from getting up, just like a turtle or like an actual bug. So there's that. And then we find out that the leader of the From gang, the local gang, whose base they found by accident. His name is Tig From, and his guy, his enforcer dude, that's like he looks like a large jelly bean or like a blueberry. They're blue, alien species. I don't know what species they are. I don't think they're ever named. Um, but they're blue. They kind of look like the cross between the Mythrol and a Chiss in a weird way. Um, but his enforcer calls him Tiggy, and he hates that. So he's the son of Sice.
He kind of looked like a Star Trek
From
character to me.
Sice.
Kind of like the Mythrol.
Yeah. So we find out that this kid Trig is taking over. He's leading the organization in the wake of his father, Sice From, and his father like did everything with like actual thugs and enforcers and stuff. He used people for operations, and his son's like, nah, droids are the way of the future. Technology is going to do it. Like, I don't trust people. I only trust droids. And so there's this like constant nagging between him and his enforcer, where his enforcer's like, yeah, an actual person could have done this better. You sure you don't want to like get real people? You sure you want to trust these stupid droids? And,
Yeah,
like,
he
he's
sounds
egging
like
them
a
on.
typical dad right
Yeah.
now.
So
You sure you don't
there's a
want to
little
just
there's a little
go
scene between them.
and buy it in the store? No, why would
Yeah.
you can just order online right now?
Dad.
Dad,
Thanks, Dad.
Jeremiah.
So anyways,
True, that's the dad coming at you. You're just a few months away, dude.
It's
It's starting to come out already.
Yeah. Well, gotta
can't wait
practice.
for little Thal to come out into the world.
little thaw, little
Little
Jeremit.
Little Jeremy, yeah. So anyways, they get away. They're running away. And there's a scene where they're like, "Oh no, we gotta go. We gotta get Jord back from the stronghold." And so they have a plan, and they have already gotten R2D2 inside the base. Doesn't show how. He's just there. He's inside the base. They got him in. They snuck him in, and they're like, "Okay, R2D2 is gonna pinpoint his location, and we're gonna go in. We're gonna get Jord out. We're just gonna fly the speeder into the base, and we're gonna get Jord out, and then we're gonna leave. It's gonna be happily ever after." And so they get R2D2 to find the location, and then R2D2 is coming towards the front door. They start flying out in the speeder. It triggers an alarm that sends a sentry droid out. And the sentry droid just comes out, and they fly at it with the speeder, knock its head right off. And they
That's
use
pretty good.
that as a diversion to get around the corner and down into the entrance of a cave that leads into the service tunnels. So then the gang splits up, or they're going to split up. But as they're driving through the service tunnels, Thal's like, "C-3PO, what are the odds of me flying this thing in there undetected and getting my buddy out?" And C-3PO gives the odds. It's like 700 something thousand.
It's like
to
7,000 to 1.
Yeah, he's like, it
It's
could
not
be
bad.
worse.
It's not bad.
And then Kia's like, yeah, but it could be. I mean, that's not good. That's still not good. So they get down and they're driving, and they reach a dead end because there's this big metal door in front of them. And conveniently, Thal's like, they're like, "How are we going to get through the door?" And he's like, "Well, it just so happens there was a Jedi that left his speeder here to get fixed, never came back for it. So I have his lightsaber," and he pulls out the lightsaber out of nowhere and just cuts 2 pieces off the door. The door falls down, and they get in. So, some lovely little plot armor there. So then they split up. Kia and C-3PO go to monitor Thal and R2D2's progress through the facility, and also to redirect elevators because Thal and R2D2 are piloting the speeder through the elevator corridors.
That's fun.
Yeah. So I thought it was a pretty cool idea. So they're flying through at a super high speed, and then the other two are trying to redirect the cars as they're coming that way to prevent them from colliding with the speeder. So it works pretty well. And then at one point, a droid comes in behind C3PO and Kia at the console that they're working at. And the droid asks C3PO who he is. And he's like, we're maintenance. And the droid's like, that's funny because I'm maintenance. He's like, well, we're security then. And he's like, the C3PO is trying to tell him that like something was wrong with the console. And he was like, once he said he was security, he was like, okay, well then why weren't you at your post to make sure it was working correctly? And the droid was like, no, this isn't flying with me. As he's saying that, a security droid comes in behind him, and these droids are like floating boxes, essentially, with arms. Very like stereotypically sci-fi looking droids. And they're about to go for the alarm, and C-3PO is like, no, not the alarm. And then it cuts to a shot of Kia, and she is like completely gotten on top of one of them that's hovering above the ground, and it just flicks her off off top of it. And then one of the droids is going for C-3PO, and he ducks, and the droid just collides with the other droid, and they explode. So no martial arts, no weapons, just C-3PO. I mean, it's pretty. That's like the general theme with him. Like he happens to do things out of fear for his own life, and he ends up causing destruction. It's kind of like Jar Jar, but much more sophisticated. Like the same thing happens in the Clone Wars. Like every time there's an episode with the two of them, C-3PO either does something really stupid or he does something that happens to end surprisingly well for him out of sheer luck.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
So then they're like, they hear over the comm, Thal's like, yo guys, you need to help us out because there's a door shutting in front of me. I'm about to collide with it. And like C-3PO's like, who was watching the console? As if like there was someone else not fighting with him. There was another funny moment I forgot when they get Thal away from being captured by the bug droids. C-3PO, I don't know if you guys caught this. He goes, man, I wish I had had another rock.
Oh yeah, I heard that.
I caught that.
That made me
Because he
chuckle.
still thought that he blew that up with the rock.
Right.
Well, didn't it at some point too, when he talks to that girl, he's like, he tried to say that he blew it.
He
it
tried
up.
to tell her that he blew up the Sentry droid.
Yeah.
So anyways, so they get back to the console, and nothing they're hitting on the console is working to stop the door. So what does C-3PO do? He kicks it. He kicks the console and gets shocked in the process, falls backwards. But lo and behold, that works. And Thal and R2-D2 get through. And then it comes to a point where Thal's going to have to pilot the speeder through an elevator, like literally through an elevator into a hallway. But Jord's on the other side of the door. So they tell him that. He does just that. And so Thal like goes through this elevator. And now, for those of you that don't know anything about these speeders, these things are huge. This is not like,
they look like
this is not like a little
X-wings without like the shooter parts, and they're just hovering.
It looks like an X-wing without the S foils.
Yeah.
Or like it kind of reminded me of like an Indy 500 car.
Yep.
A little bit. Like these are full.
The Italian racer car. They're huge.
Yeah. This isn't like a little one person like speeder bike. No. He's piloting a full size racing speeder through these tunnels, and he gets it through the elevator. And Jord, who's being accompanied by these two sentry droids, just bumps them with his belly into the elevator that he's in front of, and they just stay down.
I just love that earlier in this episode you say a bigger guy. He was big enough to belly bump these droids into the wall. I mean, yeah, he could be listening, so.
Yeah. The one thing that I did forget earlier is there is a scene where they have Jord in the office of Tig, and he's basically telling him that he needs to be quiet and not tell anybody about the base because he doesn't want word to get out that they have this Trigon what was it called? This super weapon Trigon 1. And they're trying to keep that a secret because he doesn't want the other criminal leaders to find out, like Jabba the Hutt.
Yep. He mentioned
And
Jabba.
he did. And then I love how Jord was like, seems like you're trying to take over the other gangs. And the leader's like, he looks at his enforcer. He's like, what did you tell him? And
Yeah.
just like, Jord was just like making a joke. And he just straight up called
Called him out on
the
it.
bluff. Yeah. So anyways, so they get Jord into the speeder. Thal uses the lightsaber to cut his bindings. And they get into the speeder. And they start flying away. They're flying towards the room where Kia and 3PO are. And right as they're about to go join them in the hallway, 2 security droids show up. And 3PO thinks really quickly on his feet. And he's like, he like puts his arm around Kia and he's like, I found one. The other 2 went that way. And the droids just believe him. And then as they go out into the hallway, they get completely run over by the speeder. So this speeder has the highest droid kill count of anyone in this episode. Almost. And then they come back. They literally reverse back down the hallway to pick up Kia and 3PO. And then in typical fashion, as they're speeding off, C-3PO falls off and gets left behind a second time. They literally leave him behind, and he has to run around the corner through the next door to the big like staging area by the front door. He's a lot more nimble than he should be.
Yeah, I know. I said there was times he was running like.
I literally said that too in the watch party. I'm like, dude, this boy is so agile. That is not real at all.
Right.
He was like what was it, Captain America and Black Panther running down like the street, and it was like, holy smokes, he could have been like a security droid himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was so agile. I was like, okay, I guess.
Yeah. So they come around the corner, and so the staging area by the front door is a big hangar where all of the security droids that are like the cylinders with the tank treads, the way that they're dormant and they're stored there when they're not being in use, and they were turned off because the leader Tig, he's like, haha, well, we're gonna let them come out the front door, and when they do, the security droids are gonna attack them and it's gonna work. And he's like, well, you can't do that because your like land speeder droids with guns on them outside, the second the door opens, they're gonna fire on your own droids. And I don't know why that was the case, but he was like, okay, fine, we're gonna let the speeder droids, the hovering speeder droids, take care of them. We'll shut the other ones off so they don't get killed. And so when they come into this hangar area by the front door, they're all shut off conveniently, right? And so they go towards the front door, the door unlocks and opens, and the speeders start firing in, and they're pinned down. And they go hide underneath the ramp that leads up to the front door, and they're like, okay, the only option is to turn on the sentry droids so that they can fight their own, like their own forces outside. They can go out and fight the hovering speeder droids. So we're trying to, pit the 2 against each other. And so who do they send to the console back out in the hallway to turn on the sentry droids? C-3PO.
Yep.
Of all of the able-bodied people on that team, they send C-3PO.
The most agile one.
Let me tell you, though, this scene, all I could hear was skirt, skirt as he was going, because he was hopping back and forth and dodging lasers like a champ in this scene. Mm-hmm. Like, there's no way he would have been able to do that ever outside of a cartoon. But he gets out to the hallway, and he can't get the console open, and there's like a turret droid in the hallway pointing his laser at him, and C-3PO basically fakes him out, gets the turret to shoot at him, dodges, and it blows up the console. And then it just so happens that the one button that is still connected to the wall, it's like a smoldering heap of metal. There is a single button connected to the wall from this console, and it is the one button to turn on the droids.
So stupid.
I love it so much. So the droids turn on, they go outside, they start fighting with the hovering droids. In the chaos, the group gets away. Some of those spherical homing cannonball things go after them. They get away from those. They make it to Kia's ship, and they take off. And so it's a win-win because the two guys, they have found their way off the planet, and they are going to the Bunta speeder races. And Kia got
Bunta
her,
Eve.
yeah, she got her ship fixed again, and she's on her way too. And then they blast off. So that was that was the first episode of Droids.
Yep.
The White Witch has nothing to do with Narnia, and it's
Yeah.
a small part. Of
Yeah,
a
I
larger
was
story.
expecting it to be like a Night Sister or something was gonna show up, and it was just
Well, I was like, is those when we first before we knew what the White Witch was? I was like, is that guy the White Witch, the the bad guy? You know, because he kind of seemed like he could be like a little witchy. It's kind of whitish. I was like, is he the White Witch? I didn't say that. I was like thinking that, and then they said, oh, he's the White Witch. I was like, the vehicle is the White Witch. Okay.
The episode's named after the speeder. Yeah, so spoiler alert, if you are intending to watch the rest of this series, or at least the next 3 episodes seriously, so spoiler alert, this is your warning. Okay, so Kia is a rebel spy.
ooh, that's
Ooh.
exciting.
You don't find that out, and her name is spelled Kea, but she pronounces it Kia. She's a rebel spy, and another spoiler: Trigon 1 is an orbiting weapons platform, so it's like actually a pretty serious weapon. But you don't find that out because we didn't watch the other 3 episodes in this mini story. So yeah, so it does get better. It's supposed to get better, but this is just the first episode. So there we go. That's the plot of Droids, season 1, episode 1, The White Witch. There's a lot of action. There's a lot of nonsense, and at the core of it all is one really sassy droid and one really somewhat stupid droid who's also extremely smart because he can speak over 6 billion languages. So
But no one cares about him.
no one does. It's the R2 unit that people care about because of all of his abilities. So yeah, did your thoughts change as we were going through this?
Sure.
No.
Okay,
No.
thanks. Well, you know what? On that note,
Okay.
let's take a quick break and listen to a word from the sponsor of today's episode, Wesley Andrews Coffee and Tea. Hey everyone, Andrew here. I'm pleased to tell you that the sponsor for today's episode is Wesley Andrews Coffee and Tea. If you don't know anything about Wesley Andrews, you definitely should. They're an award-winning coffee roaster and shop in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and they make fantastic coffee. The awesome thing is that they have a subscription service that gets those amazing coffee beans delivered to your door on an either weekly, bi-weekly, or a monthly basis. Unfortunately, we're all being negatively affected by this virus right now. With that being said, what a better time to try some new coffee and support a local business. I know they'll greatly appreciate it, and we will too. After all, using the code Empire Radio with a capital E and a capital R with no space at checkout, when you start a new subscription at wesleyandrews.cc, you'll get 50% off your first purchase. I can't think of a better deal. Get 50% off, support a local Minneapolis coffee shop, and support your favorite Star Wars podcast. In the words of Emperor Palpatine, do it. You know what to do.
Do it.
All right. Hey, Drew, did you get my text
Yes.
yesterday morning?
Yes.
Sick.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, get yourself some Wesley Andrews coffee. I miss Wesley Andrews coffee.
Shouldn't have moved, but you know.
I shouldn't have moved. Yeah. I had a subscription for a while too. I had to cancel that, unfortunately. But it is worth it. As someone who has done the subscription, who's had the coffee, it's really good coffee to have in your kitchen. especially if you know how to make it well.
Truth.
So yeah. So today is a Tuesday, and Tuesday episodes mean that we get to listen to voicemails
Yeah.
from our listeners, which we'll talk about. If you're curious about voicemails, how do you do a voicemail? Stay tuned. We'll talk about that later. But first, we're gonna have some voicemail time and listen to some voicemails, answer some questions from our listeners. So let's head on over to voicemail time. It wasn't in there, so I just did a quiet moment. I'll put it in there
Oh Lord.
later. Anyways, all right. So we have one voicemail tonight. We have a voicemail and a question. So I'm going to cover the question first, because this question is from Riley, aka Boombacarno.
Boom.
Thank you, Riley, who gave me this question during a fleet battle stream that we were doing in Discord. So this is kind of an early shameless plug. We do have a Discord. You can join that Discord. We would love for you to join the Discord, and I'll tell you how to do that in a little bit. But we do really fun things like fleet battles, where we put our ships, like literal ships that we get when we rank up in Discord.
Well, not
against each other.
literal ships, like pretend ships. Like you're not flying Star Destroyers outside
Well,
your
it can
house.
be
Right?
literal if we put them in a battle. They're not metaphorical ships. Because they're actual
Anyways.
things.
Okay, whatever. Anyway,
They're not literal ships. It doesn't matter. We have ships, and they actually go into a simulated battle in a program, and we watch it happen. Anyways, it's a lot of fun. If you were there, you would enjoy it. I know you would. So, anyways, so we have those, and during this, Riley asked me a question, and that question is a question for all three of us. It is, if we could have one weapon in our world and transform it into a lightsaber-ish weapon, like an energy weapon, what would we decide? So, for example, you could have a flail, right? And instead of a metal ball with spikes at the end of it, it would be like the spikes would be laser spikes. You see what I'm saying? So it's like a lightsaber, or like another equivalent would be like the light whip that Lumaya uses in.
okay.
So if you could take any weapon from our universe and make it into like a lightsaber energy-based weapon, what would you choose?
A sword.
All right.
But then that would have to be always be on. So like you couldn't like.
Not
Okay.
necessarily.
No, it's
that
called a
wasn't specified.
lightsaber. The dark
Yeah, but
saber.
But if you're changing
take
it
a
into
samurai
energy-based
sword.
one, you'd have to have like a. What is it? A sheath? Is that what it's called?
You can turn it off.
You can turn it off. It's a
Oh.
lightsaber.
It wasn't specified, so you can turn it off.
I would get a katana and change it to a lightsaber katana because it'd be cool, like the dark saber.
Okay.
I don't know anything about weapons, so I'll go with brass knuckles.
Ooh.
That's a weapon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it'd just be like
Just the top
punching
of
someone
it.
punching someone with a lightsaber.
Just punch straight through their body or their face. It would just keep going.
That would actually be probably one of the
so
most
scary.
difficult to make work, I guess. But sure, there you go.
Ooh, what if you did a butterfly knife like that?
You'd have to be really good with it, but yeah.
I don't
People
want
already cut their hands off with those when they're trying to do it anyway.
I don't want to flex too hard, but I used to be really good at a butterfly knife.
Yeah,
Just saying.
I think there's a lot of really cool options, like naganatas from the Japanese had these, and they had like smaller katana blades on the end of staffs, and they're used by the cavalry.
yeah.
So that was pretty cool. There's a part of me though that like would really want a katana the most. Like I know that seems kind of lame because it's like, oh, it's just a lightsaber, which sure, but like I've always been partial to swords.
Yes,
but if I had to not pick a sword, I would probably go with like a naginata or some kind of a spear that
If
has
I
like a
would-
lightsaber blade on it.
I would not pick a sword. I
Yeah.
feel like. I feel like a knife, like a pocket knife sort of thing, would be kind of cool.
Someone in the chat, David in the chat, talked about Dryden Voss's knuckles, where they weren't like lightsabers per se; they were energy.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know what the
Oh, those
alternative
things.
is.
Yeah.
Those are super cool, where they were knuckles, but they also had blades on them. Like
Yeah.
so, if you were holding it, there would be a blade that would come out of the bottom.
Yeah.
Those are really, really, really.
You could
cool.
mess someone up with that for sure.
Yeah, I think a mace would be cool. No, please don't make any puns. I just wanted to clarify. I don't want any Mace Windu puns, please.
Okay.
But a mace with like. Okay, so you know how Sauron's mace in Lord of the Rings,
Mm-hmm.
there were points that look kind of like shallow blades on each of the sides.
Yep.
Where there was like it was like a mace. You hit stuff with it, but at the same time there were slightly bladed edges to it.
Yep.
That would be super cool if those were mini lightsaber blades or mini like laser blades.
Yeah, that'd be
So
interesting.
it would both cut, but it would be shallow enough where you probably wouldn't like completely cut through someone. So it would be like you cut them and you also hit them.
It's
Against
like
the wall
torture at the
time.
same time.
Yeah, that would be really cool. I think that would be a really cool alternative, too. So, yeah.
Or an axe. Ooh.
Ooh, laser axe, yeah.
You know how like convenient that would be too? Like
Dude,
at the
Optimus Prime
cabin?
had one of those.
No, because you would burn all the wood. It would catch it on fire, probably.
Oh, it was sear it. You would have to,
Maybe.
or you could cut green wood and it would make it dry,
Ooh.
and you would
Dude,
never run
Jeremiah,
out of.
Ray cuts through wood in The Last Jedi. Or not The Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker, I'm pretty sure. In the
It
training
does kind of.
montage.
It kind of catches on fire though.
Yeah, but it only singes the edge. It
Exactly.
doesn't, like, completely burn it.
But if you did have something green and did it, it would dry it out potentially, and then you would never. You know, the worst thing about camping is trying to find dry wood.
No, the
And
worst thing
you
about
were-
camping is camping.
Okay.
Oh.
But I'm just saying, if you didn't have to find dry wood because you could make your own dry wood, that'd be kind of dope. I'd be down for that.
Yeah.
And if you need to throw it at someone,
If you had, like, smaller, dual-willed handheld lightsaber axes, that's pretty cool.
Like a boomerang.
oh wait, that would
A lightsaber
That-
boomerang.
You would have to be very skilled to not hurt yourself. with
Also,
that.
half of it
Well,
would
you
have to
do that
be-
anyway with a boomerang.
True, but also half of it would have to not be the blade,
Right.
Yeah.
and you would have to make
Ooh.
sure you catch it at
You
the
know-
right point
You
every
know what would be really cool? Hook swords.
Ooh.
Like the Chinese hook swords that they
Mhm.
use in Kung Fu.
Mhm.
Yeah. Dude, those would be super cool.
Andrew, have you ever seen what is it? Kung Pao?
Yeah.
The
Yes, I
claw whip thing? That would be kind of
Oh
cool.
my
Jeremiah, have you
Dude,
ever
that
seen
whole
Kung Pao?
movie. That
Dude,
whole movie,
you gotta watch Kung
Jeremiah,
Pao.
if you like droid, if you didn't like droids, you would 100% like Kung Pao.
I feel like that movie
I
is
think I know which one you're referring to because I remember like seeing like trailers and commercials for like this is, like what.
I have a
10,
feeling
15
that
years ago?
movie is probably racist and probably shouldn't
I mean,
watch it anymore.
actually, looking back, there's some pretty bad stereotypes.
so maybe you
happening.
shouldn't watch it.
Actually,
maybe
yeah, you know what? Maybe
let's not watch that movie anymore. But as a kid, that movie was not.
It was a banger.
It was a
not.
banger,
It
but
was really funny.
it was really funny.
Anyways, Riley, thank you so much for derailing us completely, and for the great question. That's a good question, and it's good to think about things like that because it's fun. So, all right, moving on. This is our only audio voicemail, but
I know who it's from, and
it's
a
going to be a
banger.
good one.
I haven't heard it yet
because
though.
It's from our boy Dengar.
Ooh.
You know him. you love him, the best bandaged bounty hunter in the galaxy, Dengar. So, without further ado, let's take a listen.
Hello, boys. Dengar here. Listen, got a question for you. So, listen, you've got to put out a bounty on someone. Probably Drew, actually. But anyway, you've got to hire a bounty on. Who are you going to choose? Don't choose Fett. Everybody chooses him. He's overrated and he stinks of Sarlacc poodoo. So who else would you choose out of all the bounty hunters you know in the galaxy? Anyway, listen, I've got to go, lads. Got a date with the Tonica sisters. Ooh, them girls, they love a boy in bandages. Anyway, listen, think long, think hard, and think good. Because if you don't, then God's gonna come looking.
Dude, I don't
What
know
the
who
heck?
I don't know who is doing
Dude,
these voicemails.
dude,
Dengar.
Dengar. Okay, first of all, why am I the bounty?
Don't ever, just look. Don't ever change Dengar, please.
But also, yeah, that's amazing. I would love to at one point have Dengar as a guest, and this person do this voice the entire podcast episode.
yeah.
I feel like
That would be so cool. So
like
Dengar,
he'd lose his, I feel like he'd lose his voice if he did a whole episode like talking like that. Like that's
Or maybe that's
Unless-
Dengar.
and
unless
maybe
that's
it's
his actual voice.
Dengar.
And if that's your actual voice, like you should be doing voiceover work for evil guys. I don't know. Like,
Or
Let me
it's
tell you
really
something.
Dengar.
So here's the thing. I'm reading the Legends novel, the Bounty Hunter Wars, Book 1, The Mandalorian Armor, and he's actually like a secondary main character. I would pay good money to hear this guy voice act Dengar in an audiobook for this book. It would be incredible. So Dengar, thank you so much
Dengar,
for sending in a voice.
round of applause.
Yeah. The fact that you're still listening to our podcast makes us happy.
The fact that I'm the bounty.
So if I had to put a bounty out on Drew,
Wait, what?
if I had to put a bounty out on someone, and obviously I would not pick Fett. Everybody picks Fett. Like you
Wait,
said.
this has to be a Star Wars character.
Yes.
Okay.
Who are you gonna pick? Dog the bounty hunter?
No, I was gonna. No, I'm not gonna. I'll tell you who I would pick after the stream. But anyways,
Okay.
keep going.
Okay, so we're not gonna pick Boba Fett because you're right, Dengar. Everyone picks Boba Fett. I am gonna go with Dengar.
ooh,
Ooh, that's who
Trying to get
you.
on his good side, huh?
Yep. It might also be out of fear, but I would pick Dengar. If not, I would pick Bosk. But here's the thing.
Kanata.
Bosk kind of makes a fool of himself in this novel. And so my opinion of Bosk kind of went downhill a little bit reading this. Another one that I would really enjoy to have work for me is Asajj Ventress. Because she's also a stupidly skilled Force user. And it makes her a really good bounty hunter. So I would say Dengar or Asajj Ventress.
Keep in mind, they're going after Drew. Like you don't have to be a skilled Force user to get Drew. Like, like
Yes, you do. Okay, I have
Like,
powers you don't know.
Wow.
I have dad powers. Okay,
all right,
they're pretty good.
This is gonna be my choice, and it's gonna be you're not gonna like it, but because you don't need a lot of skill to get Drew.
Okay, well,
I'm going with the Han Solo wannabe from the Mandalorian that was on Tatooine. That was with Mando,
Okay.
the gunslinger guy, like
You
in
had-
that episode.
You had everyone.
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 To
He-
choose
he-
from. Fennec Shand,
Okay,
the
but
Bad
Mando.
Batch, Mando.
he's a low priority target, so he's like
I am
I
not a
don't need
low
to-
priority target.
I don't need to hire.
How dare you.
top-notch,
Jeremiah, he
galaxy known.
he said put a bounty out on someone like Drew. He didn't say it had to be true.
True.
No, that's what he said. He said it would probably be Drew. Like he said that. Like, and even if it was just like Drew,
Dang, dude.
my point still stands. It's a low priority target. Like you don't need the best guy in the galaxy. You know me, I'm very frugal with my money.
True.
So like
You want to save. That makes sense.
I want to just go with a guy trying to get into the guild for the first time. Like he's just He's like, just give me this one job. I can get it done. I'm like, yeah, you can.
Okay, so for me, who would I be hunting? Someone like me. Would that be you, Jeremiah?
Yeah, you would be hunting Jeremiah.
Okay. So
After that.
I would pick Jar Jar as my partner.
Oh, okay.
No,
Wow.
if I'm being serious, I would probably
Oh.
pick Mando because I feel like I would want to learn from him. He would
Mando's
give me
good,
a
yeah.
lot of tricks of the trade, and sometimes, dude, going through the galaxy, you don't want someone to talk to you constantly, you know. So like, be nice just to like sit back and relax because you know he's not gonna talk to you that much, right? So it's like
You don't go with the bounty hunter when they go on their mission.
you could. I want to. I want to learn.
Mando would not let you.
Yeah,
do
that's true.
that.
He wouldn't.
Yeah.
That's fair. So yeah, I would pick Mando though. I feel like he would get the job done really quick, and then we can get more higher bounties afterwards.
But here's the thing, though. This is okay. This is kind of like very morbid, but you know, if Mando was sent after you, Drew, after you had your kid, your kid would be raised as a foundling.
Ooh.
What do you think about that?
Well,
Okay, well, first of all, I'm hiring him, so you guys didn't pick Mando. I did.
wait a second, but Stephanie's still a thing.
True. You would have to
You-
kill us both off. And Stephanie
be a-
used to
he
do
wouldn't be a
MMA,
foundling.
so I don't think you'd.
Stephanie could hold her own against Mando. Like,
Yeah.
so, like
Yeah. I don't think you would need to hire more than the
yeah, if
gunslinger
it's,
for.
if it's Drew and Stephanie that are the targets, yeah, I would get some high class like bounty hunters. But just Drew by himself, I'll go with the gunslinger guy from the Mandalorian.
That's fair. Well,
All right,
All right. Well, Dengar.
keep them
Thank
coming,
you.
Dengar.
Keep 'em
Yes,
coming,
keep 'em coming.
Dengar. Hey, really quickly, here's a special message for Rogue. Okay, I
boom.
had a busy week, and I apologize that I was not able to practice my Yoda impression.
Oh, I forgot about that.
I'm coming clean. So here's what I want you to do, Rogue. I want you to DM me on Discord the quote. Please don't make it. I don't want to do a super long one. You can pick any Sith quote, DM it to me, and that'll be the one that I'll do next Tuesday.
Ooh,
Here we go. Next
Or-
Tuesday.
You could DM me and make one of the other two boys do it.
nope,
Nope.
Sorry.
Hey,
Wow, not even
cause
for the fans, huh?
I
No.
can't.
Wow.
I can't.
Neither can I.
No, I believe you can.
Yeah, you've done some interesting
Okay.
voice work on this
That's
show,
fine.
so
All right. All right. Well, let's fly on over. And oh, by the way, Dengar, great reference, by the way, the Tonica sisters. Do we know who they are?
I'm assuming
Wow.
you're EU.
No.
I assume they're his
they
lovers.
are twins, identical twins that are in Drew's favorite scene in all of Star Wars. Talking to the bartender in the background.
Oh, I'll have to go.
In the
Cantina.
in the cantina, yeah.
Are they like? What is their species? Like, are they humans or are they?
They're humanoid. They have white faces, like super pale white faces.
Ooh.
Okay, I'll have to go.
So Dengar's on
They
Tatooine.
They became con artists, infamous con
Ooh.
artists. So
That's
So
exciting.
Dengar, you might be getting conned. We want to hear the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
how it went.
But keep it.
But keep it PG.
Keep
But
it PG, please.
but we
If
still
it's
want to
not
know if
PG,
you got.
we can't play it. But
But let's see if you get conned or not.
all right, well, let's fly on over so that we can talk about social media. All right, last but surely not least, we are going to go over the ways in which you can connect with us on the internet. Some of them are pretty direct methods, so let's go over those really quickly. First and foremost, Instagram and Facebook, both of which our handles are Empire Radio Podcast, all one word. We stream all of the recordings of these live on twitch.tv/Empire Radio every Tuesday and Friday. Tuesdays are reoccurring. Fridays, as long as the Bad Batch is running, at 8 p.m. Central and 9 p.m. Eastern. And then if you miss a live stream, the video recordings of these go up on our YouTube channel shortly following the episode's end. And that YouTube is Empire Radio, a Star Wars podcast. So those are all of our normal social media accounts. And if you can, please make a stream session because they're really fun. And as we've already done a few different times, we actually interact with the chat. There are some episodes that will be directly interacting with the fans, doing dialogues and questions and such. So they're definitely something, if you have the time, that you don't want to miss. And last but surely not least, like I mentioned before, we have a Discord server dedicated to the podcast and anything and everything Star Wars, and it is a party. Let me tell you, it's a lot of fun. So head over to the link in our Instagram bio. It is also in the About Us section on our Discord. Both of those links take you to a landing page where you can connect directly to all of our social medias from there. You can click the invite link to join our Discord, and there is a link if you're not listening to this on Spotify or any of the other podcast streaming services. There's a link in that landing page to leave us a voicemail like you heard tonight. It's a 1 minute limit, but say what you want in 1 minute, and if it's family friendly, we'll play it on air unless you ask us not to. We have gotten voicemails, and we just answer the questions because the people have asked us to. We'll totally do that, and that's still a lot of fun. Now, so send your questions in, send your voicemails in, and if you want the easiest way to get to leaving a voicemail, there is a link directly under where you listen to the audio version of the podcast, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. It's right there in the description. Click the link, and it's the same voicemail link. It'll take you right there. You can record your voicemail. So please, if you can only do one of those things, definitely join the Discord because all three of us, for the most part at least, are active. And we engage with our fans, and it's a lot of fun. There's just a lot of really good people, and we have a fun time for sure. And if you missed this, we have a current challenge right now that has not been met yet. And that challenge is if we can get 12, no less than 12 voicemails for a single episode, a Tuesday episode, because we only listen to them on Tuesdays. We don't do them during Fridays on the Bad Batch. We will completely set aside the idea for that night, and we will do a complete voicemail episode where we answer your questions and we talk about the things that you want us to talk about. So if you have a ton of friends, you all have a question, and it needs to be a legitimate question. I love getting dad jokes, but it can't be 12 dad jokes because we'd be done in about 15 minutes. So if you have legitimate questions, and if we ever have 12 voicemails or more, we will dedicate an entire episode to that. So if you got friends, you want to coordinate something with them, go for it. I feel like it would be a lot of fun. And last but surely not least, again, this Friday, June 18th, there will not be a Bad Batch stream and episode recording. We are doing it one day later on Saturday, June 19th, 2021, at the same 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern time for that Bad Batch. And the watch party will be happening at 7 Central, 8 Eastern, before the recording of that episode. So it's just a day late, but as Jeremiah said, not $1 short.
Or credit
All right.
short.
Not a credit, not an imp coin short. That's our fake Discord currency that we deal in now. So, anyways, you boys have any other thoughts?
Nope.
All right. Well, you have been listening to another riveting episode of the Empire Radio Podcast. I'm Andrew.
I'm Jeremiah.
I'm Drew.
And may the Force be with you.